Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on YouTube. So glad you could join us. Got an amazing show today. Oh boy, I can't wait to get into all of this. Like us, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We so appreciate you joining us every day, and you're going to like today for sure. Joining us right now on the program is none other than the head coach of the University of Michigan Wolverines, Kyle Whittingham. Coach, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Scotty. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh no, me too. This is fun. First off, I'm just really happy for you. I really am. Of course, I've followed you closely. We know each other personally, and I just think it's a tremendous opportunity with what you have going on in Michigan. So just before I get started, just my congratulations, and I'm cheering for you big time. So
I appreciate that.
you
Thank you.
got it. Okay. This is what's been the biggest surprise for you at Michigan? You've been in coaching a long time, but is there something that you didn't expect that kind of surprised you?
I don't think so, other than it's a little bit colder here than I thought it would be. I was thinking, okay, it's going to be like Salt Lake, but not quite, not so fast. It's a different type of cold, and so that's taking some getting used to. But other than that, I mean, it's Michigan, and it's as advertised, and we got tremendous resources, facilities. Tradition here is incredible. Athletes, it's everything it's cracked up to be.
Really quick, I moved to Michigan from Florida,
That's
and
right.
and
Detroit Lions.
yeah, boy, and I'll tell you what, I thought I was going to die. So I feel your pain, but it does get warm. It's beautiful. Michigan's a beautiful state. You'll love it. You really haven't moved around much in your coaching career. I mean, you've been at
Yeah.
Utah for 30 years. What was that process like for you to actually go out and, I guess, look around? I mean, I'm sure you didn't expect Michigan to show up, but what was the process like going to Michigan?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right. I haven't, saying I haven't moved around is an understatement of the century there. I've been planted in one place for what, 32 plus years. And so
Yeah.
definitely a change in the routine and surroundings and all that, but it's still college football. I mean, it's you have a big M right here on the shirt instead of a U, but it's a great opportunity for me, one I couldn't pass up. Um, and it happened really quick. I mean, when I
Yeah.
stepped down at Utah, I really wasn't sure if I'd ever coach again because I wasn't sure the right opportunity would present itself. And lo and behold, a few days later, it did present itself in a big way, and went through the process. Things happened quick there as well, and couldn't be more excited about this new challenge, this new opportunity. Got a great staff here. We've got tremendous coaches on this staff. Um, our strength staff, Doug Elisai, brought him with me, and
Yeah.
and so we're all positioned right now, and in all all the staff has been hired and on board and here, and I can't wait to get working with the players. In fact, today is the first day of winter conditioning.
Oh, wow.
That'll go on for 8 weeks, and of course, we'll jump right into spring ball and really get a chance to see what we got.
Was it hard to like clean out your office? I'm just thinking of this all this time, and you had this really nice office, and you got
Yeah,
all your memorabilia. Is that a hard thing to do when you
it
go
was
out
hard. It
there?
was hard physically because there was so much stuff, but emotionally, I'm a guy that really handles change well. I mean,
Yeah.
I change just like that, and recalibrate and change your thinking and so forth. And so, other than the sheer volume of what we had to move, and it's all in my garage, it's in big piles. But no, it wasn't. I love the University of Utah. I had a great experience there. Great, really, the majority of the chunk of my life, I guess, was spent there,
Yeah.
and it's no regrets at all on how things have unfolded for me. I'm a guy that doesn't really ever second guess. You just move forward, and here we are at one of the top five programs in the country.
Yeah, I still can't get used to it, and I'm excited. I can't get over how excited I am for you. I really am. I totally mean that. So you've talked about Michigan and you recruit coast to coast, right?
Right.
So how effective is that, and how challenging? It just seems like, but that's a big net. How do you handle that?
It's a big net, but there's not a lot of prospects that fit the Michigan mold. I mean, they're, it's so pared down. You're going after the best of the best. And when that's the case, you position recruit rather than area recruit. As you mentioned, we have coast to coast with, for example, Jim Harding's recruiting the best offensive lineman in the country from coast to coast, and same at every other position. And it just didn't make sense to area recruit here.
Right.
Some other schools where you're more a development program and you're looking for those hidden gems, that's more of an area recruiting mode that you're in. But you're going after the top targets in the country at every single position here at Michigan.
That's got to be cool. I mean, I'm just thinking of, I just think of quarterbacks, and just being able, it's like, yeah, okay, let's scour the whole entire country. That would be a very cool thing.
It is. It definitely is.
You talk about your staff. You have your son, Alex, is coaching with you. What does that mean to you? And how does it work? I coached my daughter in high school sports,
Okay.
and I said, look, I'm not your dad, I'm your coach, kind of thing. How does that family dynamic work? And what does it mean to you to coach with your son?
Well, first of all, it's awesome to have him here. He was completely qualified to be here. Spent 8 years in the National Football League with the Chiefs, and and that's really his, where his knowledge base is built from, is his time with Coach Spagnolia, the defensive coordinator, and of course Andy, the head coach. But when I was in Salt Lake City, the entire family was there except for him. He was kind of isolated out there in KC, and now it's just the opposite. Me and him are together, and everyone else is back in Salt Lake. So it's his turn to have grandma and grandpa around, and his three little kids. Haven't spent nearly as much time with them as the other grandkids. So I look at it as a very positive thing, and excited that he's here, and he's going to do a great job for us.
You mentioned Spagnola and Andy Reid and offense and defense, and Andy had a nice situation there with two great minds, on both sides. But what's harder to coach in your mind, offense or defense?
That's a great question. I having never really spent a great deal of time on offense, but just from seeing it from the other side of the fence, I would say that there's a lot of similarities, but it might be a little harder on defense, because on offense, you know what you're doing from week to week to week. Defense, you've got to adjust and react to what people are doing, and tweak things to get the best matchups and that type of thing. So I think defense maybe takes a little bit more than overall than offense. But I know offense is you look at the analytics, and the offensive side of the ball is responsible for 50% of the outcome of a game. Defense 35%, and special teams 15%. So you better have a good offense this day and age, and we feel like we're going to be very explosive. And obviously, Jason Beck is a proven commodity over there on the offensive side of the ball.
The transfer portal, at least in my opinion, didn't feel like as rushed maybe as before. Felt like people were, I know, but it seemed like people were kind of taking time to make decisions, maybe make a few visits here and there. Am I way off base here? Or,
well, I think you're right in general, but places that have a coaching change, everything's accelerated. And it was a mad scramble there. It's just starting now to die down, and we're coming to the tail end of the portal. But it was, with all our players, and with the one portal calendar now, when there's no second portal, the players really were under pressure and under the gun to make decisions, because before you could say, okay, got a new staff, let's go through spring ball, see how they are, see how we adjust, see how we like them, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll use that second portal after spring ball to make a decision to get in a better situation or a different situation. Now they don't have that option, and so everything had to happen right now. And like I said, a lot of the players were very anxious, because essentially, while other schools were locking in their players and re-signing them, this was in a holding pattern until they named a head coach. And so we got 2 or 3 weeks behind, because during that time, even though the portal wasn't open, that's when you're re-signing your guys and locking them in.
Yeah, kind of had to do both things at once almost.
Exactly. We had to recruit our own guys through the portal. I mean, that's how it was.
Wow. And how do you feel about that? You feel like you were able to manage that, or it's like, it's almost impossible? Or
no, I think we did as good a job as we possibly could have done. I think we came away with a lot of really good players in the portal. We obviously lost some guys that are big losses, that are good football players, but I don't know if there's anyone in the country that didn't experience that. I mean, you're going to lose some and you're going to get some, and that's just how it is.
So next year, when you're like Indiana and Miami playing for a national championship, and you're going through this same process, how quickly, like, could players actually sign with you in this portal window, and then go and be on the team if you were practicing, or are there rules against that,
Yeah,
or
there's rules. You know, you can have a couple. I think the rule is you get two early signees. Like if you have an early admit out of high school and
yeah,
you're playing in a bowl game or the playoffs, you can start practicing with the team. You can't play, but you can
you
practice
can
with the team.
practice? Hmm.
But I don't think that applies to portal guys. I think portal guys, can't practice, can't do anything as far as the season that is currently going on. They have to wait, obviously, till next season before they're eligible to join.
You talk about your staff, and you were able to bring a lot of coaches, players from Utah. What goes into that process? Where you were there, and it's a new situation. How has that been for you, bringing all these people with you from Utah?
Well, Michigan is a great place, and a lot of people want to work here and want to be here. Um, I can say that it's very, very common for a coach that moves from one school to the
Yeah,
other to take his guys. I mean, essentially, they're his guys. I mean, he's the one
right.
that hired them, and the players as well. I mean, you're the one that recruited them, and I think Matt Campbell at Penn State took
Yeah,
25 or 30 Iowa
yeah,
State guys with him. And and I remember when I took over for Urban. Me and Gary Anderson were the only ones left standing. The whole staff had gone
yeah.
either with Urban
Wow.
or with Mike Sanford to UNLV. They both got head jobs at their respective places. So that's just part of the deal of a coaching change.
Yeah.
There's a lot of assistants and players that will move with you.
Yeah, and I'm curious, when at Michigan, or just in general today, like, what is the thing that moves the needle the most when you're talking to a player? Is it still about, hey, this is Michigan, or is it money, I'm talking about your current players, the portal players, high school
Yeah.
players. What really moves? What's the conversation like when you're out recruiting all of these different players?
Yeah, well, I haven't been on the road yet for Michigan, and so other
Yeah.
than being in the portal, we've had guys come in here for visits, but I'm going to tell you the top of the list is the dollars. I mean, that's
Hmm.
what moves the needle, and then it would be what's on your chest, and opportunity at that school. What's the personnel look like at my particular position. So all that figures into it, but right at the top of the list, and the thing that moves the needle the most is uh, is the your NIL and your rev share numbers and what you have to offer. No better example than Texas Tech. They went from relative obscurity to
Yeah.
on the national scene just like that because they had an infusion of 30-40 million dollars or whatever it was. And good for them. I mean, that's they got guys there that want to win and are stepping up to the plate, and that's what it takes. I think if you look at all the playoff teams, other than the two group of five teams that got invited to the playoffs, there, those 10 teams are probably 10 of the 12 highest paid rosters in the country too. So it goes hand in hand. Definitely goes
Yeah.
hand in hand.
I was really curious about that. All right, last thing. What's a successful season for you at Michigan this year? What does that look like?
Competing for the Big 12 title and winning it is, I got to believe every single year that's got to be the goal. It's Michigan,
Yeah.
just like the people up in Ohio want to do the same thing, and the two or three, four top teams in the SEC. I mean, that's got to be the goal, and getting to the playoffs would come with that if you're able to win the Big Ten, and then obviously national championship is the ultimate. But I don't want to get too far ahead of things, but that's the expectations at the top schools in the country.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited for you. Really appreciate your time. I know you're super busy, and I'm always cheering for you, and the best to you. And have a great day.
Appreciate you, Scott. Thanks again, buddy.
You got it.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. Kyle Whittingham, of course, the new head coach at the University of Michigan. And I know Kyle well, and I've been the color analyst for Utah for the last 9 years, and so I get to interview Kyle after every single game. We have a lot of conversations. We've had a lot of offline conversations just about my observations of the program, and where I see and what I've seen, because I sit and watch every part of it and study it, and so I've got to know Kyle quite well, and I'll just tell all those Michigan folks out there, you got a really, really good one, I know there's some angst there's some angst kind of in Utah, and there's some angst you know, kind of, hey, he took all these players with him, and I know people are mad at him, and he made this comment about how I left the program in a good place, and really what if you and I believe that's true. But I also believe, as he said, college football in general is about these relationships. It's about people, and um you can't fault people for following someone that they trust. Look, I've been in situations as a player where I was a holdover from another regime, and the new one came in, and most of the time it's not really good for existing players. Now it's probably a little different. This was in professional football, but it's probably, there's still an adjustment time with things. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Whittingham comes out of the gates and has a really, really good season at Michigan. I think he's got the right people, the right coaches, and the right players. He'll get the most out of those players at Michigan, but it's hard. It's hard when there's a change. And Morgan Scalley, really, really impressed with where he is, and you feel like he's really prepared. I don't know that there's anyone who's more prepared, more qualified to be the head coach at the University of Utah. And he's got to put his own stamp on it. He's got to put, Michigan got some good players from Utah, some really good players. I was asked on the radio, would Kyle Whittingham take any of the players from Utah? And my initial thought was, well, no, because like he said, I can recruit anywhere. By the way, how fun would that be? Like, you think of it from the perspective of Utah, and that I'm a Utah guy, and where I went to school, and Utah doesn't recruit across the country. It's a hard thing to do resource wise, and really legitimate, opportunity that could change. Again, money talks in college football today. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with Utah in the private equity, and how much that really impacts recruiting, and if it has a significant impact. I don't know. We'll see. But with Kyle leaving and taking these players, it's just part of football. It's part of how it is today. I think everyone at the end of the day, will be better off because of it. I mean, you don't want coaches who maybe don't want to be there. You don't, you want, if you're a head coach, I guarantee you, every single head coach in America is going to say, I want coaches who are like with me, or that are loyal to me. I think that's one of the biggest things in the world. And that's why you see, people go where they go. Now, there is one caveat here, and it's Michigan. It's like you have to go to Michigan. Like, if you have an opportunity to go to Michigan, I'm sure John Henry Daly didn't wake up and say, I'm going to get a chance to go to Michigan. And maybe he was recruited by him a little bit. Who knows? But now you have a coach, you have your position coach, you have kind of, you understand the process. You just go, I got to go. I don't fault any player who left Utah. I don't fault any coach who left. I don't fault anyone for any of this. So it'll be fascinating to me to see, how this all plays out, because I think it's intriguing that you bring your players with you, and just, you know are they on par? Are they level? Can they compete on a consistent basis? Do they get just swallowed up? Do they become average at Michigan with the upgrade in competition every week? And I'm not 100% convinced that the entire, you know, Big Ten is just this juggernaut of team after team. I mean, yes, Ohio State is. I believe Penn State is. I believe Michigan is good. Clearly Indiana has figured things out, which is so funny to say. I mean, there's two funny things that I've been saying today. Kyle Whittingham is the head coach at the University of Michigan, and Indiana is the top team. And Michigan has a tough schedule next year. I mean, they've got, oh my goodness, they've got Ohio State, they've got Oregon, they've got Indiana. I believe. Do they have, who else do they have? Anyways, but they've got a toughest schedule. So I want to say, believe me, to all my Utah people who I love dearly, it's going to be okay. It really is going to be okay. Morgan Scalley's going to do a very good job. You're and I want to get back to what Kyle Whittingham said. He says left the program in a good place, and they did, and he got the program inherited to him by people who had started to lay a foundation, and it, Coach Ron McBride really was the guy that created and started a foundation. Urban Meyer, I think, elevated everyone's expectation and said, "Look, we can be consistently really good. We can dominate the Mountain West Conference. We can be much more than we are." And I think that was a precursor to going to the Pac-12. Beating Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and beating a Pittsburgh team in the Fiesta Bowl, having 2 undefeated seasons. I think people from the Pac-12 said, "Hey, wait a minute, they're not that far behind us," and that was the case. And so, but it was a lot of people that built that up, and Kyle took it even further. He took it from a mid-major, a G5 program into a power football program, and that's where the program is today. And there's a process of how they've gotten there and how they've succeeded, and I don't think that process changes. I think Utah can be every bit as competitive as they've been in the past. It's the shift of power in college football has changed a little bit, and I'm not sure that it creates this one super dominant team. Um, it maybe helps a lot more teams be competitive as you're seeing kind of in the playoffs. I mean, you saw a lot of teams that were competitive. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing at all. And I'm and so no one should be disappointed by it. There's a great culture at Utah. Morgan's been well schooled, and yes, were some players that left. And initially, it's going to hurt. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's not going to hurt. But the culture and all of the things, the place that the team is and the school is in a healthy place to move forward. They just have to move forward with new people and different people, and that's okay. That's a good thing. So I'm really excited for all of them. I really am. I to my soul appreciate Kyle Whittingham and all he did at the University of Utah. He was amazing, and it was time to move on. It really was, for everyone. And we're all, everyone should be happy. Let's go. Let's do our thing. I guarantee you, Kyle Whittingham, maybe if he had left a week later, he probably wouldn't be coaching right now. And so this window and everything, people trying to get, it's just a circumstance. It's no one's fault. You shouldn't be blaming anyone. You shouldn't be blaming the athletic department. Shoot, the athletic department's out there doing things, being creative, trying to make sure this football program and their athletics are competitive in the world that we live in today. And so they are. All right, well, let's take a break. We come back. We have none other than Jim Fannin. The zone coach is going to join us here on the Down and Dirty when we return. So you don't want to miss it. We'll be back.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome on back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on YouTube. So glad you could join us. As always, please like and subscribe. We love when you do that. We love the show, and it means so much to me personally that you tune in. And we've got an exciting guest. One of my favorite people in the entire world. The Zone Coach, Jim Fannin, joins us right now. Jim, how are you today? What is the weather in Chicago? Sunny, blustery, freezing cold? What's
it's
happening?
A perfect time for football. It's sub-zero. There's snow on the ground. It'll be 30-mile-an-hour wind. We can't wait. We hope the hawk is out, just piercing these little weak LA guys who are coming in. They came in a day early to get acclimated. I heard that Stafford has never played 20 below zero, under 20 degrees.
Oh.
So they're in for a great time. Shit, we're fired up.
So,
if you don't like the weather in Chicago, wait 20 minutes. It'll change.
If you didn't catch that, Jim is actually from Chicago. Well, he's not from Chicago, but he lives there. Been there for a long time. He's actually from the backwoods of Kentucky, which is a fun story. Jim, of course, has coached some of the greatest athletes in the world. Really, all sports. Some of the top business leaders as well. He does a remarkable job. I'm really proud to call him a friend. And if you're interested in finding your best performance, go check out zonecoach.com, and you can get an analysis on where your mindset is and where you need some work. It's very cool stuff. So this past weekend, Jim, you had a wild card weekend, and it was no wilder than in Chicago. And for me, it was so fascinating to watch that game. And you could read those players like, it just looked like the Bears were just horrid in the beginning of the game, and it looks like the Packers have it in hand. And then the script flipped in the second half. What was your take? What's the vibe going on in Chicago with the Bears in the divisional round?
Cardiac kids. That's 7 games. We come back in the fourth quarter to win. The one in Green Bay, I mean, it was 4-3, and then there was a penalty that made it 4-8. And he made the most iconic going to his opposite way, going to his left, and he does like a jump man Michael Jordan poster pose, and that was either see you later, we're all going to Cabo, or we're going to the next round. And he made that play, and of course people are having strokes in Chicago. I think the psychiatric wards filled up. We're nuts out here. 7 times we've gone into the fourth quarter losing, and we've had a comeback. So this week I'm hoping that the Bears can get off to a lead, because that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, it's funny how there are these moments, and you've seen them in sports, and you've seen them in sports, and they just seem to change the whole fortune, the whole path, the whole direction. You think of the catch with the 49ers, or the immaculate reception. And I don't know what they're calling what Caleb Williams did on fourth down. But it is, I have no idea what they're calling it, but it felt like one of those iconic moments. And how does a team, because it's so hard when you get the momentum away from you like the Bears had. It just didn't look like, it felt like they were trying too hard. Guys couldn't hold on to the ball, poor throws. All of a sudden you're down, 21-6 or whatever it was. And how do you flip that around?
I think adversity introduces you to yourself. When you're confronted with the next move or non-move dictates winning, losing. A lot of people run from that. A lot of people are afraid of that moment. But a champion embraces that moment, and that puts them in a purposeful calm. And what happens to the Bears in those situations, because I've analyzed every one of those comebacks, is that they relax in those moments. Their breathing drops from 15 to 70 breaths a minute down to 6 to 8. Caleb Williams definitely lowers his breathing while his heart rate goes up.
You may not have even been alive, Jim. I mean, that's how on that throw. He may have died for a minute. He was so
It
calm.
was an impossible throw and an impossible time that he made possible and probable, and it prevailed. I'm looking though for what happens in the first quarter. At halftime, whatever happens in the second quarter dictates the speech of the coach at halftime. So I'd love to hear the halftime talks to get the Bears ready coming from behind in the third quarter. They're totally different than what they do at the beginning. You got a week to prepare for one team, and we can't get off to a good start. It was someone like Ben Johnson, you would think, man, he's going to have a script that's going to do it. But he establishes the run. They get behind. They have a halftime talk. They come out in the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, we own it. Somebody like Stafford, though, I don't see him folding, even though it's going to be cold. This guy's a veteran. He's been around. He's 37, 38. It's going to be interesting. The cold is going to have a factor. It's going to be 7, 8 degrees with 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And Scott, do you remember what's the worst conditions you ever played?
Believe it or not, is worse than that. And it was in Cincinnati. I did want to ask you about cold today. It was actually, no, it wasn't the last game I played in my career, but I was playing in Cincinnati with Jacksonville, Cincinnati, last game of the year. I think we were both 5-10 on the season at the time. The game meant nothing. There were 3,000 fans in the stands. It was the most eerie and bizarre feeling because the wind did impact the game, and I think it put it pretty close to zero. It'll be very similar to this game. When you walked on the field, it crunched. The grass was it was just frozen. There was no crowd noise, so all you heard was really, really cold plastic, because you think of the shoulder pads frozen basically, and it just made this horrific sound when the two offense and defensive lines collided with each other. It was just such an eerie, unusual, I'd never experienced it feeling. And all you wanted to do when you got on the field was to get off. Like, you were just like, I don't care what happens. If we just go 3 and out, we throw an interception, we fumble, we score a touchdown, just whatever, do it quickly. If you're gonna be out here, get it done quickly so we can get over to the bench on the sideline. And I felt like I just felt really bad for the officials because they never got to come off the field, and they had just these permanent icicles underneath their noses, and just from breathing out air, and the moisture or whatever from it just totally froze. Horrific. Now, one of my coaches was Ken Anderson, and Ken Anderson actually had been a part of the coldest game in NFL history when the Chargers played the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl in 1982. And Ken Anderson would tell me, he goes, this was no joke. He wasn't being silly about it or funny. He said, I don't have feeling in several of my toes and haven't since that game. I just can't feel my toes. So
Wow.
yeah, I've been in those situations. So how do you handle it? How do you?
Here's
'Cause I don't know if I handled it well or not. I mean, we won the game, I can tell you that much, and it did feel better winning in the
it's
cold.
not as cold when you win.
No, it's
When
not.
you lose, it's like, wow, was it
Yeah,
cold? Here's the last time the Bears were in the Super Bowl, I coached the quarterback on that team from the very beginning of the season, and I knew that he would have to play in some inclement weather. Super Bowl was played indoors, but
right.
to get there, it wasn't. And one of the things, and I played pro tennis, and I played in some very cold. Slap your hands as hard as you can. It brings the blood. The first thing you lose is your sensitivity, and the first thing that goes for a quarterback is touch. You can make a mistake on a screenplay. It's like, what?
Yeah.
How can I miss a screenplay? But you'll miss it in the cold more than in hot weather because you don't have the same feel, the same touch. So smack your hands before the play as hard as you can to get the blood. And the receivers, even though you got gloves, I would pop them. Just hit them as hard as you can. That gets blood to the fingers. And then tip number 2 in the cold, get your energy away from you. Get your energy on the other side of the scrimmage line. That's where the information is. That tells you, the quarterback, what reads you have, what to do. But as soon as your energy's back on you of shoulda, coulda, woulda, it gets colder. The cold actually penetrates more when you're negative and when you're in the past. So stay present, get your energy on the other side. And for you the skill positions, keep the touch going by smacking your hands. You got to keep your hands warm. Tip du jour.
Well, I was gonna say, is it okay to deflate the footballs just a little bit?
You'll have to ask Tom Brady. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe there was something behind. Maybe they should allow for, just say we're gonna have slightly deflated footballs here.
I think that could make a difference because I'm telling you, you were so disgusting with me. We were passing a football like in the backyard, like I'm grandpa. You're out there fling. And I said, well, what? Throw one like I'm an NFL receiver. And you go, you sure? And I go, come on, bring it. I'm an athlete. It was shocking. And I can't even fathom catching it, period. But I can't imagine catching it in 10-degree weather because people don't understand how hard you're throwing the ball. It's not normal. And you could fling it. That's what I know that.
I'll tell you, one of the worst parts about it is the leather is okay. It's the laces, right? And the laces have they poke out off of the ball. There's edges to them, and in cold they're just
Slick.
They're brutally hard. And so think of a wide receiver. You've got this thing spinning at you, and if you catch the laces wrong, it's massively, oh my goodness, it's the most painful thing in the world. And one of the biggest pains I had was getting a snap from the center. There were many times that they'd break a blood vessel in my hand just receiving the snap.
Wow.
And you've had a blood vessel break before, where it's this kind of hot, stinging heat in your hand. It doesn't last forever, but it's just a horrible feeling. And seeing a receiver and they all wear gloves today, and the gloves are ridiculous. But back in the day, there were a lot of guys that didn't wear gloves when I was playing, and I just don't know how they could or not do it. So I'm always fascinated by the weather. I want you to explain something to me, because you talk about clapping your hands together, getting your energy away from you. And you told me a story once, and I would love for you to explain this to people, because I think it's comically genius, all in the same breath. You were coaching a PGA Tour player, and you don't have to tell the name, but you're just like you told him to just start skipping down the fairway. Now, I believe this was in a practice round, or it was I don't know what the circumstances, because
Masters.
oh, never mind. And
was
so,
first round. It was the first round of the Masters.
so how is skipping down the fairway of a PGA event getting a player locked into their top performance?
Well, when I did the research a long time ago, decades ago, on the zone, I realized that it was a chemical cocktail that actually flooded into the bloodstream to double your shutter speed so everything slowed down, move the blood to your large muscles so you have more strength. So I knew that the zone was chemical. Well, one of the chemicals is dopamine and also oxytocin. Those are happy chemicals, and dopamine is let's go, let's rah. And sometimes you can try too hard, TRY, to ruin yourself. You can have too much discipline, too much focus, and you need to balance it with some dopamine. Well, if you laugh instantly, like dopamine just went into my bloodstream. If you skip, more dopamine comes in. And so he was struggling. He was not striping the ball. He was not in the fairway, which you're in trouble in the Masters on the first hole if you're not putting the ball in play. And I started skipping, and he knew that I wanted him to skip, and he wasn't a very good skipper. I mean, I've never had an athlete that couldn't skip, but he skipped. He started laughing like, you're, thinking about me. My coach is crazy.
Right.
He's an idiot. He's making me skip at the Masters. But we birdied 3 holes in a row after he skipped. I had another one with a lineman in the NFL, and I'm coaching him, and he's playing a new position. And first play from scrimmage, offensive line, he moves. Penalty. Now the Chains are moving back. 1 penalty. Pass situation. He holds the guy. 2 penalties. He has 3 penalties in 1 series. And I'm like, oh, he's going to be in the Canadian Football League in 5 minutes. The coach, through his headset, he was ticked off big time. And I'm like, and my guy sat down, chin up, and then he skipped because I had prompted him to. I said, sometimes you got to skip. When the crap hits the fan, maybe a little skip will put some dopamine and it'll flip it around. He not only skipped back onto the field, which I didn't think he was going to go back in, he skipped serpentine into the.
Oh.
The coach took the headset and threw it at the O-line coach. Had a few explicatives for him. I don't know what was said. I'm in the stands watching, going, what's happening? Anyway, first play, he pancakes the guy in front of him, keeps his feet, takes out the linebacker, keeps his feet, goes down parallel to the ground. The lineman throws a block against the strong safety. They score a touchdown. Sometimes you got to skip. And that's exactly how that happened. When I thought, man, Canadian Football League, okay, he's going to start at least. And here we are being on the receiving end of 3 blocks in 1 play.
So
sometimes you got to skip, Scott.
Yeah. No.
I want to see you skip. Maybe
I got skills. I can skip and bound. Like I can do both. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. When you're talking about all this, it brings back to my mind the 1999 Baltimore Ravens, who I believe that was the greatest defense ever assembled. It was just masterful. It was perfect. Every part of it fit just seamlessly. And this was a crazy cast of characters. Like and I remember, so the year before I'd played in Baltimore and I was now in Cincinnati, and they had come to Cincinnati and they were out on the field before the game, and you would have thought it was just family reunion. We're having a picnic in the park. There wasn't a guy out there, and they all were out there, and they were just people are say, well, they're horsing around, and I just imagine some coaches would just roll in their, I think of Coach Shula just rolling in his grave over how jovial and how carefree these guys were. And they, and I was talking to some of the, cause I knew them, and they said, the better we play is when the looser we are. And we just, and they did, boy, they just played phenomenal, lights out. literally won a Super Bowl on the backs of that defense. But if you would have watched them before a game, you'd say these guys are going to get killed. Like they're not focused, they're not serious, they're not, and they were just out there having
They
a
didn't
good old
seem
time.
they didn't seem disciplined. But,
Right.
most of us try too hard. We've been trained to do that. If we're not sure what to do, just try harder, the American way, give it all you got. And most of the time that will ruin you, really, trying too hard. But if you think of the word score in your mind, watching this or listening to this,
Yeah.
SCORE is the system of getting into the zone that I discovered decades ago. It's easy to have too much self-discipline concentration, and you got to cut it with the chemicals in relaxation and enjoyment. And most of us in these pressure situations lack relaxation and enjoyment. A lot of people don't want those big moments. Caleb Williams has embraced it, loves it. I mean, the Iceman cometh. I mean, there's all kinds of memes about him. But I want to ask you another question. I'm curious. We don't get to hear what the linebackers are saying. Have you ever had a linebacker challenge you and call you out right in the game and say something? I'm going to rip your head off. I'm going to do this to you, your mom, and your kids. I will eat your children. Has that ever happened where a defensive guy did that to you? And how did you react if it did happen?
So there are a couple of moments that come to mind. One
I was thinking, did any Ravens do that to you? They were talkers.
No, well, see, I knew all those guys, and they were not. They were kind of funny about it. Like but you talk about discipline. They were brutally disciplined when they knew the moment when we lock in, and they were so good at it. But there was a linebacker at the University of Nebraska. So when I was in college, we played at Nebraska, and we were a prolific offense. Led the nation in offense. Just had this really fun, explosive offense, and we had some unusual formations where we literally took all the offensive linemen and we just slid them all the way over to one side of the field and just got them as far away from things as possible. And one of the running backs snapped the ball, and then they had the wide receivers on the other side, and we called it the Daffy Duck offense because it was just wacky. It was just so crazy, and fans in the stands had duck calls.
Left.
Yeah,
Duck
and it was fun, and it was a little out of the box. It was a lot out of the box, and fans would get duck calls, and they'd start calling for the duck offense, when they were in the it was a fun time. But we got to Nebraska, and I was in the huddle before the first play of the game, and this linebacker from Nebraska says, "Don't show me any of that duck offense. I want you to line up like a bunch of men and come at us and play real football. Don't do any of that crazy, stupid stuff. I want you to be real men and play football today." And I was like, wow.
Did you call the duck offense next?
We didn't at the time. I'm trying to, we may have run it in the game, but we played, I was at Utah and we weren't very good at the time, but we played Nebraska quite well. And then there was another time, of course, Howie Long, the all pro Hall of Fame defensive lineman for the Las Vegas Raiders.
He was an intimidator.
Yeah. So it was a preseason game, and I was with the Miami Dolphins, and we were playing in Japan. It was a preseason game in Japan, and Dan Marino played a series. So I come into the game, and I'm playing against the Raiders' first team, and Bob Golick, who was one of their defense, very funny guy, goes, "I got to get my my program out. I don't even know who any of these players in the huddle are. I've got to look and see. I don't know the number 90. Who's that? I don't know who you are. And they're just trying to intimidate me. And then Howie Long, I get to the line of scrimmage, and it's third down, and the middle linebacker, you have to identify who that is for protection. So you would call out, the Mike is number 51. Mike is 51, and you point to him so the offensive lineman, all the receivers, everyone knows this. And Howie Long actually gets up out of his stance. So he's down in a 3-point stance. He stands up and he looks at me and he says, You do not need to know where the mic is. You don't need to tell. You don't need to know. And he gets back down in his stance. I snap the ball, and Howie Long sacks me. And underneath the pile, he's holding on to me and looking through my face mask, and he said, "I told you you didn't need to know where the mic was."
That's crazy.
And all I could do was laugh. I thought it was the funniest thing in the the world, and it just there was part of me. It's like, oh yeah, I got sacked and all that, which didn't happen often in Miami. It was offensive line. You don't, the quarterbacks don't get sacked with the Miami Dolphins. I'll just tell you that. But I had to laugh, and I cherished that moment, because Howie's an iconic.
There's so
And
much
it's just
talk.
There's
There's a lot of talking going on down there, and we don't always get privy to do that. Well, as a quarterback, you want to know where Howie Long, you want to know where the edge rushers are. They move around. You want to know where Parsons is when he's playing.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you were afraid of? And my gut says no. Yeah. But when I say afraid, like, oh, I got to watch this guy. I got to know where Ray Lewis is every time. I'm concerned he's a disruptor. Was there anybody like that you thought about days before the game?
So fear is I don't think the right description of the players, but it's more about respect. It's a concern, respect. The one guy who was always a big problem was Bruce Smith, and I always saw. I'm just telling you, if I was going to start a football team, I'd start it with Bruce Smith. I think he's one of the most underrated great players, because you always hear about Reggie White, and you always hear about Michael Strahan, you hear about a lot of these other guys, but Bruce Smith was every bit as good as any of those guys. And when we played with the Dolphins, and he was with the Buffalo Bills, it was always, you got to handle Bruce Smith. And so it was about chipping a back. It was about any opportunity you could to double team him. And most of it was in passing situations. He was a guy. For whatever reason, I played against Reggie White for 5 years when I was in Detroit, and we played Green Bay, so played him twice a year. And we never, ever game planned and said, okay, how are we going to handle Reggie White? We had an offensive lineman who just was built in a way that he could handle what Reggie White's strength was, and that was brute force and just kind of running you over type of thing. And so I've heard stories of other players, Steve Young. I've heard Steve talk about how Reggie White, but we just didn't have the same concern with him. But there are players, you absolutely have to be concerned with.
If you look at the playoffs this weekend, Houston's defense, that's a concern. You got to have respect on that. Seattle's looking at that and going, okay, I got to watch these edge guys. You got to get the ball out quick. That puts pressure on you. I got to have my reads quick. I got to be accurate. Darnold, he's going to have to do that. You look at the Patriots defense, which is formidable. I mean, usually the teams that are now in the playoffs, it's their defense that got them there.
Yeah.
And it's pretty intimidating, especially Houston. They've got a reputation now that's put a lot of concern on opposing offensive coordinators for sure. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, Houston is a team that could end up going to the Super Bowl with its defense. And when they play the Patriots, and this is fascinating because you got this young quarterback, Drake May, who has played at an MVP level. He's a young kid, and how, when you talk about this concern, how is he going to handle that? And that's going to be a question of the day. I always look at these young quarterbacks and just say, when is the shoe going to drop? When is I just would look at Patrick Mahomes when he started playing. He's too young, he's too inexperienced, and I don't know what it is today, but these players seem to be more capable and prepared for the moment at a much younger age. Their maturity, for whatever reason, I don't know. It just seems.
I do know the reason. Being trained in the mental side of the game at an earlier age. Even coaches who are not on the mental side, but they're football coaches, they've learned a lot in the last 5 years about the mental side of the game. I think young kids they're just trained differently. They're trained better. They're prepared for these moments. And then if you look at college, that's a professional league. You come out of college, you're a pro basically automatically. You've been getting 2 or 3 million a year for what 1 year. It looks like the Oregon guy is going to stay because I'm sure he's getting a boatload of money. He's not coming out in the draft. Guys are staying back. But now when they come out, they're better mentally, physically, technically. And I think it's just run like a pro league. We're getting more calls from colleges than I have from pros. Usually all the calls coming into me are professionals
Yeah.
who want an edge. And now NCAA, it's just a minor league of professionals. And these colleges are trying to train them like pros, and they've been training them like student athletes. That's the first thing when I talk to a young kid. How do you want me to coach you, as a student athlete or a professional? 100% say, no, coach me like a pro. I go, well, I'm not going to catch any slack. I'm going to be on you. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to tell you the truth. Can you handle that? Yeah. And they all say yes. And off we go. That didn't happen before. Today it's like, no, I want to think like a pro. That's new in the last 2 years.
Fascinating. I along those lines, like, and you've coached all these different sports, all of them, and what sport do you think has the most mentally tough players, like across the board? I've stumped him.
Baseball hitters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that would surprise a lot of people.
Wow.
Baseball
Surprises me. Yeah.
hitters, if you fail, 30% of the time you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And baseball is in human schedule. It's ridiculous. It's designed to make money. They were talking about reducing it from 162 games to 150. That's not going to happen. They're going to lose money. They're not going to reduce it. So mental endurance is so difficult for a hitter. You have 600 times you're facing a guy throwing 100 miles an hour, hitting a ball solid with a round bat, a round ball. That's made to deflect and not hit solid. It's a mental challenge. It's the hardest single activity in all of sports. Michael Jordan couldn't do it. He couldn't hit a slider. He couldn't hit a changeup to save his life. But it's not just the act of doing that, is can you do that over 6 months and your day off, by the way, you're flying to Seattle from Miami. There's your day off. Have a nice day off. And so to me, mental endurance is the biggest challenge, more so than the other sports. There's 18 games in football. That's still quite a bit. It's a brutal physical game. NBA, you got your 80-plus games there, but 162. Then you throw in spring training. Then you throw in the fall. Guys are fried mentally by August. But the superstar knows how to have that mental endurance over a long period of time, just hitting a high standard. And if you get down on yourself as a baseball player, you can blink and be 0 for 21. And you feel like you're doing everything right, but you got nothing to show for it. If you're not mentally tough, you're out. You're not going to make it.
I thought that NFL quarterbacks were the toughest, but I don't know if you.
I think you would have. You know what? You've got 2.5 seconds to have 2 to 3 reads. That's inhuman. That's not normal.
Yeah.
That's abnormal. And you've got to be able to not only read, but you got to read and react. I've seen the playbook for a quarterback. You got to have a PhD in something to read it. And then I saw the individual lineman's playbook, and I thought, man, you can't have a dummy on the line because there's no way he could absorb all the intricacies, especially of a Ben Johnson or Shanahan playbook. I mean, it's pretty insane, all the nuances. I think mentally, I would throw a quarterback there, but mentally over a long period of time, hitting baseballs.
Yeah, you've convinced me of it. You really have. All right, we gotta take a break. So I really appreciate you joining today. We'll get into so much more down the road, as always. And I understand it's very crazy in Chicago, and good for you. And so I hope you enjoy this weekend and go Bears.
It's great for the city. We're fired up. We need a win. Chicago's been a losing city for some time. White Sox not so good, etc. So, be in the zone, everybody. It's the only place to be. Thanks, Scott.
You got it. Hey, go check out the Zone Coach, zonecoach.com. Again, you can get an assessment of where you are in your mindset to be a champion. It's very cool. And if you're interested in being coached like a champion, give Jim a look, because he's incredible. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. Hey, I believe John Harbaugh has found a new home. Shocker, it's the New York Giants. We'll talk about that more as the Down and Dirty continues here on YouTube.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on YouTube. So glad you could join us. As always, great show. Boy, it's been a lot of fun. We've understood the mindset of a champion. We've talked to a big-time college football coach in Kyle Whittingham at the University of Michigan, and the show goes on. And speaking of coaches and big-time opportunities, John Harbaugh, of course, is the new football coach of the New York Giants, which is really quite a remarkable thing. Of course, he I think he's kind of it's the domino effect, of coaches, and it's like, where does the first domino start? And it starts with John Harbaugh. I mean, that's a big deal. Had he been let go, I guess Mike Tomlin not really too far from him. But I guess it was a week later. It's like, let's see how you do in the playoffs, and then we'll let you go. So John Harbaugh had kind of a lead, I guess, on Mike Tomlin. I believe Mike Tomlin will still be a hot commodity in the coaching search of things. And of course, Steve Bisciotti, with the Ravens, I think he would. He was. It was mentioned, and he kind of joked, but I wouldn't be surprised by that. So, John Harbaugh goes to from the Baltimore Ravens to the New York Giants, reportedly for 5 years, $100 million. And he brings Todd Monken with him as the OC, and I think that's really important. Or not? I mean, it's important. It's significant, and what I think is most significant about that, and about really the whole, I guess, the whole situation is, you've got we talked to Kyle Whittingham, and he's like, he brought a lot of coaches with him. And so much of that is about it's about the loyalty, it's about the comfort level, it's about the confidence you have in these coaches. Of course, you remember Todd Monken mentioned that he goes, look, I don't think I had a great relationship with Lamar Thomas. Anyways, Lamar Jackson. I was like, Lamar Thomas, a wide receiver it's really hard when you get older, just so you know, people. I'm gonna like digress here for a minute. Everyone has names, right? And what do you do when you're a sports-minded individual? In honor of other players, you name your kids after them. And so now we have all these interconnected names, and there's, and last names and first names. And anyways, it just gets Lamar Jackson. See, I know who he is. I'm not brain dead yet. I will tell you, and this is a two-edged sword for me. I had to be tested for the concussion settlement with the NFL. It was a grueling test. It's 2 days, about 10 hours each day. And I was exhausted, each day when I was done, because it's all this stuff to analyze where your brain is. And so I do this test for a couple of days, and I'm like, where am I? And they said, you're normal. Your brain's normal. This is normal brain activity. And I was like, so part of me was like, oh, yes, great. And then the other part of me was like, well, wait a minute. I do a lot of dumb things from time to time. Like this whole Lamar Thomas, it just happens from time to time. And I can't help it. I don't try to do it. I know all the names. I say them often, but sometimes my brain just goes kind of weird, and yet it's normal. So I don't know what that means. I really don't. Because I used to kind of jokingly say, look, I've been hit in the head a lot of times. And so that explains things, but I have no excuse now. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just an idiot. I have no idea. John Harbaugh, and his coach, Todd Monken, of course, they go to the Giants. And I believe that was the number one factor for John Harbaugh. And I think he's understood that having a really good quarterback, Lamar Jackson was a really good quarterback, still is a really good quarterback, won a lot of games for John Harbaugh. Joe Flacco is also a really good quarterback, won a lot of games, so he understands. And so I think of all of the young quarterbacks in all of the situations that he could possibly get into, you have Cleveland, have no idea what's going on there, because Deshaun Watson's going to be back. Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, who of all of those emerges, or none? And then you have Michael Penix with the Atlanta Falcons, and he I like Michael Penix. I'm not sure that he's really evolved into an everyday guy in the NFL yet. It still might be a work in progress, and a work that may not work out. I mean, I don't know. And then you have Jackson Dart. You have Cam Ward, who's shown tremendous talent, at quarterback. And the question was, of all of these potential places, you got Miami, maybe with Tua, Arizona. Who knows what's going to happen there? There's a lot of different things going on. And I really believe that for John Harbaugh, that that probably from an organization, Giants have a reputation as being one of the top organizations in the NFL. Quarterback who really, shows probably the most promise. And really, if you look at Jackson Dart and we talk about experience, you look at Bo Nix, how many games he played. Jackson Dart was at multiple locations and succeeded, right, and did well. And I think it helped Jackson Dart. I think it probably helped him grow up a lot. There's something about these transitions that we make in our lives, and they help mature us. So you go from high school to college, and that's like the most painful change in your maturing process as an adult. You're leaving the nest for the first time, so to speak, and you're all alone, and you're a freshman, and there's this big world, and you're this little person, and then you make that leap from college into professional, and it's not as hard. Like, it was not as hard for me to transfer from high school to college to the pros. So college to the pros was actually easier, and it was harder. I mean, the football was way harder, but it was an easier transition just because I had done it before. I was like, okay, I was used to it. In fact, there was most of me that was like, this is exciting. This is a great opportunity. And not that college wasn't. You're just young. So Jackson Dart feels like he's got a lot of maturity, showed a lot of maturity, showed some stupidity, needs to stop running so much. And he just does. I'm just telling you. And I don't care if his dad gets mad at me or not. He just stop running. There, I said it, and I mean it. Quit it. No, just don't do it anymore. So I believe he felt like John Harbaugh, back to John Harbaugh. He felt like, look, this is a guy I can really work with, this quarterback. Of all the choices that I had. And what was also interesting is he brought his coordinator with him. Now you look at the Giants have pieces on defense. And they've got some talent offensively. This is a team that's really not too far away from being very competitive. And let's face it, I think the NFL for the most part is a year-to-year league. As far as that I don't see a team right now. I really thought it was the Eagles. I really thought the Eagles were like, okay, this is a team that's going to make it. They're going to really do it. They're going to have a run here, like the Kansas City Chiefs. It feels like the Chiefs. They're in a rebuild, and in a reset, and whatever. And where does Patrick Mahomes come back from his injury, and how does he come? And and you can't count him out. But you can't count him in either right now. So the league's open, and so I think Harbaugh goes, chance to win the division. Who knows where Washington is? You're I don't want to say you're on the downside of Dak Prescott. Maybe Brian Schottenheimer. He certainly seemed to infuse a lot with the Cowboys, but just let Jerry Jones give him some time. He'll get in the way. And then it's New York, and there's this mindset of, do I really want that meat grinder? Do I really want the scrutiny, the exposure, all of those things? And John Harbaugh to me seems like a guy who's like, yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, and I actually applaud coaches that want to get into that, because that tells me, man, I'm confident in who I am. I know where I'm going with this thing, but I'm also, I want to go to the best. I want to be the best. I'm an open book. I'm here for the whole entire world, and let's do this. So, I think it's an absolutely fascinating thing that's happened with the Giants, and that Harbaugh took that, and he was specific about it. He wasn't going to go look at a lot of places. So he probably liked Arthur Blank, he probably liked Atlanta, and he probably liked Michael Penix to some degree. But I just believe he felt like, there was a better opportunity to maybe win faster and potentially having a longer run with the Giants. When you have a really good quarterback, you can get a good run, and Harbaugh knows that and understands it, and he was with the Ravens for quite some time. So it'll be exciting. I'm excited. Like there's certain coaches you go, what? Like that guy's not gonna last, and you're just like, okay, whatever. And then you have some like Harbaugh, you have some like Sean Payton, that you go, yeah, they're gonna do good. More NFL news and notes here that I think is fascinating. Fred Warner, it's a possibility of Fred Warner actually playing this weekend, of course, when the 49ers take on the Seattle Seahawks. He's been out since week 5. And so, Fred Warner, again, I'm just shocked and amazed at the 49ers that they've played so well. They've done so well with so little. And of course, George Kittle makes them even more little than they have been. And Fred Warner, who's just a phenomenal player, and just so much of that defense is he's been out. I always question when a player comes back from an injury, like how much of an impact, sometimes is it just a psychological boost? He's here, he's back. And that kind of lifts everyone up, or you always wonder, it's like, how rusty are you? Are you up to the speed of the game? And it's an adjustment. It's a process of getting into game shape, of getting back into game shape. And the only way to get into game shape is to play in a game. Like there's no other way. Like you can't practice game shape. Like it doesn't happen. You have to actually go out on the field in a game at the speed, at the tempo, at the time. And it's really, really, really hard to replicate what that looks like. And I think part of it is that, you probably physically it would be hard or maybe not wise to actually do that. And usually guys who have been out, guys that hold out and come back into, and this has traditionally been the case. But sometimes with an injury like this, they've been doing a lot of conditioning. They've been doing a lot of prep time so that when they do come back, they're as close to being in game shape as they possibly can be. And I can understand it, regular season, all of those things. I also can understand it from, play. It's like, look, I just want to play. Like we got a real shot here at going to the Super Bowl. I mean, I look at the 4 teams left, and they all know, most of them know each other very well. They're all in the same division, and they're all sitting here going, we know these guys. They're not any better than we are. We can win this whole thing. And so that's exciting. It's a little different than when you're playing a team maybe you're not as familiar with, and you don't know their systems, their schemes, their personnel, their personality, none of that stuff. So I would imagine that Fred Warner's like, I want to go to a Super Bowl. I want to win a Super Bowl. And if I have an opportunity, a chance to come back, man, I'm gonna do it. No matter what. Another interesting thing here is Doug Williams. Of course, we know Doug Williams. He's the great quarterback. Speaking of winning Super Bowls, for the Washington Redskins at the time, and now Commanders, and he's one of their storied players. Great story, by the way, and wins a Super Bowl with them. His son is now the quarterback coach for the Washington Commanders, and it's like it kind of comes full circle. I think it's challenging to some degree. And I kind of see it a lot in the NFL, the nepotism of situations, where you have like Brian Schottenheimer, Kyle Shanahan, you can go on Ryan's, Rex, all of them, Buddy Ryan, I mean, and and of course, so the question is, are they really good, or are they just really fortunate? And I think in some situations, it's better. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be challenging to be the son of someone extremely famous. And I always look to like John Stockton's son came and played for the Utah Jazz, and everyone was like, "Man, he kind of looks like John, and could he play like him?" And just you're just kind of hoping, or Bronny James. It's like now Bronny James is very interesting because, well, his dad's still playing, and that's always interesting. Or the Mannings, it's kind of like the Mannings. You have Archie Manning, who was he was a guy that was well respected and well liked, but he was just in a tough circumstance playing for the New Orleans Saints for all those years and how bad they were. Of course, he got a chance to play with the Houston Oilers for a bit. But then he has sons, and then he has a grandson, and it's just a wealth of and you'd say, yeah, I don't know that there's really nepotism there. I don't know. Uh, Eli, Peyton all won Super Bowls. I mean, and you'd say Peyton was the better one, and Eli won more Super Bowls, or I think they both won the same number. Eli had a better percentage. So it is fascinating. I think it's hard to get through and just say, on merit, that guy's pretty good, or he's not. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We've got a whole lot more to talk about. Dealing with cold weather, NBA trades, are they really worth it? And we got a game coming up, so this will be a lot of fun. This is a Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell, YouTube. We'll be back.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on YouTube. Hey, I like to say that. I like you, and thank you for tuning in. Of course, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. I hope you're having a fun time getting down and dirty today. That's what we do. We give you the insight into sports the way it should be, like down and dirty. Now, here's something, and it has a personal attachment to me. So there was this article in ESPN about the last, I guess, I don't know, 14 blockbuster NBA trades since 2013, and whether they were worth it, type of thing. Now, personally, as I said, I'm a huge Utah Jazz fan, have been as long as the Jazz have been in Utah. Love my Stockton and Malone, love my Jazz and Jerry Sloan, all that good stuff, right? And then it looks like the Jazz are turning a corner. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. We are not related. And we have, so you go, okay, this looks good. Jazz going somewhere with this. And then they're like, and then Danny Ainge comes in and says, yeah, I really haven't ever won a championship here. And this is kind of how I've done it in the past. And he's like, let's just rip this thing apart and start from ground zero. And the only assets we have, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, right? So they're a part of a blockbuster trade. The consensus right now in the NBA is don't trade away more than 4 first-round draft choices. Like if you do that, you're giving up too much to get someone. So you kind of, they kind of go through a lot of these trades and how they've happened and have done an assessment on, well, are they good? Are they bad? And I don't know. So I wanted to kind of talk through it a little bit and just go, I have an opinion about all of this stuff about these trades in the NBA, and I'll get to that as we unsort this. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. So the assessment was that the Rudy Gobert trade for the Timberwolves was actually, it was considered a significant success. Minnesota, of course, has gone deep into the playoffs, and it looks like they're a team that's very close, very capable of winning a championship. And Gobert, he's one of those unique talents, and where there are limitations to him, but a phenomenal defender. And they figured out how to play basketball with Rudy Gobert because it's a different thing. So they viewed that as a success. Donovan Mitchell, which I thought, well, that'll be a success. They said, it's a moderate, like it's not a huge success. It's not, and a lot of it is Donovan Mitchell's been phenomenal in the regular season, but kind of disappeared in the playoffs. Well, sounds familiar. Anyways, so it wasn't a bust. It wasn't a bad trade. It was, it was okay. Now they have Russell Westbrook. They have, a bunch of other ones, and they were all kind of deemed like not good. Kevin Durant, when he went to the Phoenix Suns, bad, like really bad. Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett traded to the Nets, major failure. Now Anthony Davis to the Lakers actually was considered a success, which is interesting because I would say, no, that's probably a failure, but they did win a championship, a bubble championship, and apparently would never have gotten Luka Doncic had that actually not happened. So that was a good. So Paul George, of course, to the Clippers, major failure. Of course, we mentioned Russell Westbrook, bad. Drew Holiday, of course, to the Bucks, major success, right? Because won a championship. James Harden to the Nets, it was almost a major success, but it was absolutely a failure. And of course, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. But the point about all of this, Bradley Beal in 2023 to the Suns, another major fail. And there's a couple that are still kind of out there. We'll see how they go. So as I look at this, and as they kind of went through and they said, okay, the last 14 major blockbuster trades that have happened, and they seem to be happening, new phenomena in the NBA, they have it's mixed. So it's basically about let's say 45% have actually been okay. But it's kind of as they say, it's about the same percentage as a really good NBA 3-point shooter making a percentage. So it's not a lock. It's not a lock winning. It's not a lock losing. It's not a lock anywhere. And so this is what drives me nuts about all this. And it's what drives me nuts about the NBA in general. And a lot of my frustration, of course, is because I'm a Utah Jazz fan. Right. So I'm just like, what the freak? And so where I have a problem, I want to bring in Martin, trusted producer Martin. And so here's my frustration with all this, Martin. You go through these trades, you look at them, and some of them are good. Some it's about equal, you know. Some of them are okay, and all of this stuff. And this is what drives me nuts about the NBA is that you just kind of have to get lucky, right? You can't sit there and go, you know, if we do this way, man, we're gonna have such a good team. And you look at some teams and they just hit it right. They hit it right with the right player. And so I hate, I guess, the lucky nature of winning a championship in the NBA. And it just seems like, I guess, is there ever any hope for the Utah Jazz to win an NBA championship? That's really what this is all about for me.
I think there's an opportunity one day. I think the Jazz have taken their chances in the past. Obviously, 97, 98, taking a shot at Michael Jordan, almost winning it. Unfortunately, he fought the powers off of bad food poisoning Utah food to still win the NBA championship.
I know who poisoned him, by the way. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Yes, put 2-week gold pepperoni on a pizza, man. You thought you were going to be still winning that championship.
Hang on. So, but you don't care about that because Michael. So why is it? Well, I guess it's just the Bulls. I mean, the Bulls lucked out at Michael Jordan.
Yeah, well, I agree, and you know, that was the one year where the Utah Jazz won the number 1 seed and had a really fun season. Just couldn't get it done in the second round against the Clippers. I think that was their last really great chance. To your point earlier, I think in the long run, Scott, I think blowing up the Jazz was the wrong decision. I think you should have traded one of the 2 superstars, and in my opinion, it should have been Gobert, not Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, Danny H thought otherwise, but in the long run, I think keeping Donovan Mitchell, retooling the roster, maybe adding some draft capital, and trying to find some mid-round picks to help out the team should have been a better decision than what the Jazz are going through right now, because I think the rebuild is going well, but I think it's a long-term rebuild that they think will happen in a couple years, and I think it won't be for another 4 or 5 years before the Jazz are legitimately a top 4 team in the West.
I think the NBA hates Utah. I do, and
yeah.
because it's like, because you're talking about, all right, the Jazz did everything right. They tanked, and everyone tanks. Like, what? Who are we kidding? And the NBA's never fined anyone. They've never said anything to anyone, but they did to the Utah Jazz. And so here the Jazz worked so hard. I mean, it took effort to have the worst record and to have the highest percentage possibility of getting the first pick in the draft. And they go to the absolute worst case scenario, which is BS, by the way. You can't go to the worst scenario. It just drives me insane.
Yeah.
And so now, no offense, but it looks like Cooper Flag might be legitimate.
Oh,
like
100%.
And you're just like, oh man.
If it wasn't Cooper Flag, at least they should have given him a top 3 pick, because VJ Edgecombe in Philadelphia is legitimate as well. Like,
I know.
There's no hate on who the Jazz. Yeah, Ace Bailey. No hate on him. He's a good, solid young kid, but he's not ready to be the franchise takeover type player. Flag and Edgecombe were the 2 top like franchise takeover kids. And fine, the NBA doesn't want to put Cooper Flag in Utah. They don't want that as a bad PR image. You don't want that, right? But to at least give them Edgecombe, who would have been day one, would have turned them around. I just, yeah, Ace Bailey's a good kid, but he's not the franchise takeover type player.
Yeah, and then you have Bryce Sensabaugh, who goes off and has, you know, a record-setting night last night in the NBA, and off the bench scoring the most points, I think, since 1997 or something like that. And you know, he kind of has shown some signs of things, and other players, Keontae George, and of course you got Larry Markkinen, and you know, it feels like I you know, I get, it's almost like if I, you know, I'm just trying to figure out how you win a championship, because I still to this day have no idea. And I've asked a million people, and I've watched and I've studied this, and they all say, well, you know, you just got to give yourself the best odds, so you get as many draft picks as you can, so you have the leverage to either hopefully pick those picks and the players pan out, or you use them as capital in trades or moving up in the, who knows what, you know, you use them for, but they're there to use for something. And you look at OKC, and they got all, you know, just like they got everything going the right way for them, and they look massively solid. You've got San Antonio that, you know, they just got the luck of the draw and picks and in the draft, and they got great players when they picked them, and they're just, you know, and they're moving in the right direction. And it just seems like the Jazz are just kind of up in you know, no man's land. Just they're churning hard, but they're not getting anywhere. And you look at all these young players, and you go, are any of them going to pay, you know, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know. And maybe the Jazz's strategy is like, look, we're going to get these young guys and really develop them, really give them a lot of playing time, and getting maybe kind of backing into it where we're building all the surrounding cast first, and all the role players, because you got to have them if you're going to win a championship. And then if we feel like, okay, we're there, then we go for an SGA, you know, and we trade for someone like that, someone who's not happy, disgruntled, and it's that one piece that just, you know, solidifies and brings everything together in, you know, I guess that's, you know, because you're always like, well, you got to draft, you got to find someone, you got to, you know, you got to just hit on a player somewhere. And I don't know that that's really happened with the Jazz, but it seems like, you know, if I'm a GM, I'm an owner, and I'm like, yeah, the only way you win this is if you just get lucky with the right players. And that seems so stupid to me.
I agree with you. You and I both know the only two ways that the Jazz are going to be legitimately top one, you know, type team in the Western Conference is either through drafting the absolute most perfect players that turn out to be day one starters and are just absolutely out of the box ready to lead the Jazz to success, or you land the most absolute top perfect free agents in free agency. And we know free agents to Salt Lake is a really tough way to sell it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Salt Lake City is a fun city. I've lived up here for the last 3 years. I've loved every minute of it. But it's
I think
not.
it's changed you as an individual.
I believe so as well.
I've seen the growth and maturation of you
I
just
appreciate that.
moving to Salt Lake. Yeah.
We know it's through the draft mainly. If a trade comes through to where the Jazz could take a disgruntled superstar off a team's hands and take some bad contracts and give up some draft capital, that might be the route that they go down. But that leaves a very short list of what disgruntled superstars are out there in the NBA currently that want to move off from their team and go to Salt Lake and play for the Jazz. And again, you have to convince them that Salt Lake City is a destination that you can live and you can thrive and you can build a family, and you can build a lifestyle out here, you can have fun, because it is not only just about the, you know, on the court, it's about entertainment off the court and investments off the court. And honestly, Salt Lake has grown in that way where you can convince superstars. But I've heard you say this too. You had a conversation with Bill Riley. The last great superstar that decided to come to the Jazz was Carlos Boozer, and his two sons are in the NBA draft coming up this year. And so it's either you land Carlos Boozer's kids to try to build the team up, or you know, you land one of those Carlos Boozer type players in free agency again.
I think it's funny how, on one hand, Salt Lake City is an unappealing place for like an NBA player, right? It's and I think what it is, it's just nightlife, right? That's really the thing. And hockey, it's different. I think it's very appealing to hockey players. I wonder what I think football play. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what and baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball, they're just playing baseball. I think baseball. I think Salt Lake City could become a phenomenal baseball city. There's just a long history of a passionate fan base for Major League Baseball. I will tell you right now, if they got a Major League Baseball team in Utah, I would get season tickets.
I would be right behind you on that one too. I would
Yeah.
love to go to a game.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. And of course, hockey's amazing as well. All
It
right,
is.
I want to talk about there's another comment coming out, and we alluded to it a little bit when I was talking to Jim Fannin earlier about cold and dealing with the cold weather, as a player and the impact it has on a game. And apparently it's going to be cold in Chicago. And here's the crazy thing. This is what I don't understand about the NFL. Why in the freaking heck are you having this game at 6:00 at night? Like it makes no sense to me. And there's a game in New England. There's a game in Chicago. There's a game in Seattle. Where's the other game? In Denver. And it just seems to me like, start the games earlier on the East Coast, okay? And then start them later on the West Coast. I mean, Seattle's not going to come near as Denver, Seattle, they're not even, those games should be at night. And maybe they are at night. I don't know what the whole schedule is, but why in the heck is a game starting at 6:00 at night in cold? And I don't understand the NFL anyways in their thought process about just playing surfaces. And this is another example to me of why they should go to one surface, one stadium type, and they should require these teams to have, because we don't want an outcome of a game dramatically impacted by the weather. Now, Arnold Palmer will say, hey, both teams have to play in it, so you both have to figure it out. It's like we don't want them to. We want the teams to be at their very best, as opposed to being handicapped or not being able to play. So, what are your thoughts about cold weather games? And of course, you're a Bears fan, so maybe you're just like, too bad for you guys. But what do you think about it?
I am 100% going to go down that route. I listen. If you can't handle the cold, don't get on the plane and come see us. All right. It's our element, and we've had this discussion. I am 100% against all these indoor stadiums. I hate the fact that the Buffalo Bills are building an indoor stadium. I hate the fact that the Bears are trying to build an indoor stadium. I hate the fact that it is now controlled weather. I hate the fact that it's all just absolute AstroTurf fields. I hate it all. I love the cold, snowy weather. I love grass fields. I love the old element of what the NFL used to be. Some of the greatest games in NFL history have been in the cold. Obviously, the Ice Bowl with the Packers and the Cowboys in the NFC NFL Championship game. Obviously, the Freezer Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Chargers to go to the Super Bowl against the Niners. The Fog Bowl, the Eagles and the Bears. I will admit that was the one where I'm like, I think the NFL should have said, let's call that one off. Like, it's one thing to be frigidly cold. It's another to not be able to visibly see anything whatsoever on television. I can actually agree with Eagles fans. They got screwed on that one.
That's great.
But one of my favorite games was when the Eagles versus the Lions were in Philadelphia and they had to play in 20 feet of snow. Like it was so amazing to watch LaShawn McCoy run for 230 yards on the Lions defense that day. It was phenomenal. There is something about playing in the cold, and it's just a part of the element of the sport. Like I don't agree with indoor stadiums. I hate them. I don't like them. I get it, the money, the entertainment, but I love elements. I love the cold. I played in it in high school. The coldest game I played in high school to go to the state championship game, wind chill was -5. And there was no building coverage, so you got hit right with the wind. You had a penguin huddle on the sidelines to stay warm. You had parents giving their kids blankets and every single hat and towel and you could find. Like, it was frigid cold, but it was worth it to go to the state championship game. It was absolutely worth it, of just the absolute camaraderie huddle we had in the locker room after that game. It was so much fun to hold that box of tickets to go to the state title game.
I think that players don't like it. I think they just deal with it, and they figure, they're just some of the crazy. Well, I don't think anyone really but they you just accept it and you deal with it. So some of them embrace it and go, it's not cold, it's this, that, whatever. But you got to deal with it. You have to do it. Now, here's the thing I think the NFL should do is they should create stadiums like the Sphere in Las Vegas. And that's how we should be watching games. Like, we should be immersed and feel like we're actually on the field and a part of it. That would be next level. That's where the NFL and really all sports needs to go. So just create spheres and an immersive experience. And you can even have effects, like you can even have, like, when a guy gets tackled, you can feel the tackle, or you go, hey, we're going to have this game set at like 10 degrees, 20-mile-an-hour winds. And so you have to sit there as a fan and suffer through this game in an immersive experience, but you're going to feel the cold as well. That's what
I'd rather let Mother Nature do it itself. If the sunny LA Rams can't get on a plane to come beat the Bears, don't show up on Sunday. Okay.
Careful what you wish for. All right, we'll come back here in just a minute. We got a game to play, so you got to check it out. You can play at home, wherever you are. This is Down Dirty. Scott Mitchell here on YouTube.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty Scott Mitchell here on YouTube. So glad you could join us, as always, every segment. I'm just happy that you're here. All right, we're going to play a game. Martin set up this game, and well, Martin, why don't you just tell the folks at home what this game is and how we play, and of course how I win and you lose. That's the most important.
Yeah, it's our favorite game. Would you rather? I asked Scott Mitchell a few questions of would you rather do this or would you rather do that? He decides if he would rather do the other, and it's a lot of fun. So you can play at home. You can decide on yourself. Scott, I have 6 questions for you today.
Okay.
I have 6 fun questions for you today. We're going to start off with this. Would you rather if you were a coach in the NFL, would you rather coach offense or defense?
Oh boy. The obvious choice is offense, right? And I think when you play a certain position, you always have this like alter ego or this like crazy fantasy. Like my alter ego or my fantasy is I love playing quarterback, but I would love to be a middle linebacker. Like I've thought where there's not a whole lot of like thought that goes into things. You can hate the world, you just go hit people and you just get mad at everybody and shoot, you don't even have to take a shower. In fact, you can show up at the pregame meal dressed in your uniform, which has happened on more than one occasion with a lot of crazy middle linebackers. So there is an appeal to that for me. Now, coaching it, I think, is a very different thing. And I would love. I think it's not even a question. I certainly would rather coach offense. I just understand it better. I always and understanding it, you always feel like you have an advantage over the defense. That no matter what they do, they're going to be wrong. And there are certainly ways that it always comes down to X's and O's and execution and Coach Shula always used to say this is a simple game. It's whoever tackles better and whoever blocks better wins, and that's just a marvelous thing to have happen. So I love offense. I love the thought of beating a defense and outsmarting them, and I think I can do it and do it well. So I'm going to go with offense. So there you have it.
All right, offense is your choice for the first one. I like that one. All right, Scott, would you rather be the head coach of your favorite NFL team, or would you rather be the head coach of your alma mater at Utah?
Well, they come along with different pressures, right? And there's different, and I think there's some coaches who go, I would much rather coach in the college game, and I'd much rather coach in the pro game. So in college, and in college, there's an appeal to it because if you have the money, you can go out and you can build a team. The maturity level, of course, is different. I think understanding better what you're getting is in the NFL. In college, you're betting on some high school kid that you have no idea whether they pan out or they don't. There's a lot more competition in college because there's a whole lot more teams. There's probably a greater expectation professionally because it's, although you're getting a sense it's a lot like that in college now. I don't know that there's the same patience with things. A favorite NFL team to me is not necessarily, so it's more, I guess it's not necessarily for you're asking kind of your teams that you cheer for, right? And
Yeah,
yeah. I can tell you from a weather standpoint, man, I would actually, believe it or not, I would love to coach for the Miami Dolphins. I don't know why. I know the organization's kind of but man, I would love to bring back the tradition of the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I think that's what I would do. And part of it for me is it's the highest level. Like you want to, winning a Super Bowl at the highest level has to be an incredible feeling. Coaching there's a massive amount of satisfaction that comes from coaching. So yeah, I think I would go to the NFL, and it would actually be the Miami Dolphins.
All right, coaching your favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. Okay, I like that. All right, Scott, we've talked about this before. You love the World Cup. It's the only soccer tournament you love watching because you just love watching.
Love is a strong word. It's like I'll watch it. I don't know if I'm in love with it, but
would you rather win the World Cup or the Super Bowl?
Ooh. You make a lot more money in the World Cup, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, just in general, yeah. The World Cup is pretty cool. I don't get me. I'm not slight. I think it's fascinating. The fact that it only comes around once every 4 years. It's played in different parts of the world. It's going to be played here. I know will pay a lot of attention to it. I know I will. We'll probably have a lot of discussions about it on here. Oh gosh. But my heart and soul is with the Super Bowl. I know the NFL is trying to go global with its brand. I just, my heart, who I am, my DNA, my whatever, XY chromosomes, any part of me that whatever, my pinky just oozes with football, with the NFL. And I think I'd rather win the Super Bowl.
All right, win the Super Bowl. All right. Would you
Maybe
rather
maybe I just don't understand the world stage enough. I don't know.
All right, give it some time. Get behind the USA men's national team. It'll give you a chance to get behind the idea. I promise you.
These are good. These are good questions, though.
I think I got 3 more good ones for you. All right. So, would you rather land the number 1 pick in the draft, or would you rather just barely make the playoffs if you're a GM or a head coach of a team?
Would I rather?
So it's either you land the number 1 pick in the draft.
So that means you stink.
Or you barely make the playoffs. You're like one of the bottom seed teams. You're not like one of the tops.
Well, yeah, because I think it's harder. I think it's harder to be one of those teams. That's another question, actually. Because if you're barely making the playoffs, it means you're just good enough not to be bad. And if you have the number 1 pick in the draft, it means you're really bad. And none of those are necessarily good places to be. I think I think I would rather have the number 1 pick in the draft. Only because I think in all of sports, the one sport that can really move the needle if you get the right player is the NFL. You can find a franchise anchoring building prospect as the number 1 pick in the draft, provided that it's the right draft year and really, really good quarterbacks in the NFL just don't come around that often. And if there's the potential of something like that, because you can build around a really, really good player. So just barely making the playoffs almost puts you in a position where you're kind of stuck in purgatory. You kind of, you can float around. You can become Mike Tomlin, where So, yeah, I'm gonna go with the number 1 pick. Another good question, Martin.
All right, Scott Mitchell lands the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Let's see who he picks in April.
Yeah.
I like it.
Kind of impressed with your questions today.
All right, Scott, if you were a head coach in the NFL currently, this isn't just throughout history. If you were an NFL coach currently, would you rather want to coach in the NFC or the AFC?
This is again another good question, and it's good because when you're playing, and you typically play in one or the other, right? And there's some movement, from one, like I went from the AFC when I was with the Miami Dolphins to the NFC when I was with the Detroit Lions. And there's this, players watch, and so they go, man, our league's better than theirs, or our league's tougher. And I think you want your league not to be as tough, right? You want to be able to win more games. You want to have a better odds of getting to the Super Bowl. And so it's a real thing. And but it's also, I don't know that it's the same. I think, it used to be different because it was the old NFL and the AFL, and the AFC, it's been so that, they put teams that were other places in. So I don't think it's as big a deal anymore. Of course, I said before that I'd rather coach, want to coach the Miami Dolphins there in the AFC. So I'm going to go with the AFC today, just because it's the Miami. And by the way, there's probably 4 or 5 reasons that I would coach the Miami Dolphins. And the number 1 reason is the weather. And the number 2 reason is the weather. And the 3rd reason is the weather. And the 4th reason is that the weather's really nice the second half of the season. And then there's amazing fishing in South Florida. And a lot of people don't do it. Yeah.
You can't go
And
wrong with that.
I love stone crabs too. So so I haven't even got to the football side. And I think there's a fun tradition with the Miami Dolphins, and I would like to really kind of capture that again. I think I'm going to put my name in the hat to be the coach there.
Hey, Scott Mitchell, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I love the sound of that.
Think I could get an interview?
I think you could. I think you can make some phone calls and get an interview. I like that. I like that idea. All right.
Who are you? What have you done?
All right, Scott, let's end on this one. All right, so you're an NFL owner. Okay. Would you rather own an NFL team that's already been established, won Super Bowl titles? Okay. It's one of the peak teams in the NFL. Or would you rather own a team with no Super Bowls and help them win Super Bowls?
So, with the team that's won Super Bowls before, in both situations, are the teams winning Super Bowls?
The first scenario, no, not when you buy the team right away. But the other team, yeah.
So this is owning a team.
Yeah, this is owning a team. Would you rather own an established team already, or would you rather own a team that's not established and help them be established?
I would rather own a team that wants to be established. I've always been an underdog fan. I've always been want to trailblaze my own trail, and I think it would be more meaningful to the franchise to be the one to bring Super Bowl to that franchise. So, I think in the other situation, be like, yeah, we've done this before, So you just you're adding to the legacy, whereas you are the legacy, and I think you'd be remembered for a long time from that. All right, great game. I loved it. Very good questions, Martin. Outstanding. I'm gonna give you a gold star today. There you go.
Gold star. I love it. I'm gonna put it on my wall.
Yeah.
Put it on my fridge.
I was gonna put it on your forehead, but yeah, you can put it where
Hey, I already have one. It's already gold. I just gotta turn it into a star. Okay.
I was just gonna lick it and put it right on your forehead. All right, that's all we got time for today. Hey, everyone out there, you all get a gold star as well, and I'll put it on your forehead. Thank you for tuning in to the Down and Dirty here with Scott Mitchell. Thanks, Martin, for all you do, Zach, and as well. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until then, we'll see you then.
We are Rogue Media Sports.